Nick,
Charles,
what's going on?
back at it again. Episode 3.
Ep-
Can't complain.
Episode 3 of the Charles and Nick Roundtable.
Round
We are
table.
here with the Invisible Roundtable.
We can see, you guys just can't.
Yeah. I think they thought we weren't going to come back.
I don't think so. But here we are for episode trace.
Episode Trace. We are in the third month of the Charles and Nick Roundtable.
Super excited.
We did episode 1 the end of December, episode 2 early January, and now it's mid-February. So it just seems like it's been so long
I know.
since we've done this. It's been about 5 or 6 weeks. But we're back.
Always back and better than ever.
And in this episode, it's going to be a little bit different than the first two. So the first two, we did Q&As. However, today, we have our own topic.
Got our own topic this time.
And you know what? It's a pretty popular topic.
Oh, yeah.
Today's episode is going to be all about fat loss.
Wow.
Wow. You know what? There are a lot of people out there that want to lose a little bit of fat.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that this is the perfect episode to listen to when you are in your house cleaning, when you are driving to work,
Oh, yeah.
when you're just chilling, whenever.
Anytime. man.
anytime. So all about fat loss in this episode. Very excited for it.
Yeah, me too. I think with the information we're going to talk about, like, this is basically giving the keys to the city.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is everything that you need to achieve your fitness goals and your fat loss goals. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I really, really am. So you want to start off by giving everyone an update on what you've been doing these past 5-6 weeks?
Yeah, we might as well give an update on our own personal fitness journeys. So, in the last episode in early January, I was running a little mini cut just for the month of January, just to keep my body weight at bay. And now I am not in a deficit anymore. Right now, I'm kind of hovering around maintenance to a slight surplus, and I'm going to be doing that for the next few months. And once we get into May, I will be in my bodybuilding prep, getting ready to compete at the end of the summer and early fall. The mini cut went really well over the course of the 4 weeks. My body weight dropped. My average body weight dropped about 4 pounds. So successful mini cut in my eyes. And yeah, that's about it for me.
Heck yeah.
What's going on with you, Nick?
Oh, man. I'm hungry.
You're hungry?
Yeah. What they say, balls deep in the prep right now.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's only been like 6 weeks, it feels like it's been a pretty long time considering how aggressive we were compared to last time. I started prep January 1st, and we're in February, about mid-February, so we're 6 weeks in. It's been tough, but we've been pushing through. These are the moments that matter most, especially when I'm on stage. If I can't get past these moments now, I'm not going to be able to get past that moment on stage when I get tired, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I've been pushing myself, trending down really fast. The work we put in during that 6-month off season has, it's really showing. Put on a good amount of size for a very small amount of time, and after the season, that 2-year off season is going to be monumental, because if I put on this amount of size within 6 months, I can't imagine basically tripling that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited for that. I'm really excited to get on stage to fix everything that went wrong first prep in terms of like my posing and just the lack of size in a lot of muscle groups. So we really, really worked on that and put in the time. So I'm really excited to showcase all the work I put in for those 6 months.
Yep.
So that's basically it with me. If you're wondering why I'm wearing this big fluffy coat, I have zero insulation. I'm like losing body fat fast, so
Yeah.
I am really cold. So for most people, they're short sleeve.
I'm doing all right. Yeah.
You're doing all right. You're pretty warm.
It's 67 in here. It's not too bad for me.
67.
Yeah.
It feels like 17 to
Yeah.
me. So it's
But,
really cold.
I got a little bit of body fat on my body, so I'm all right.
We got Mark in the back on 6'7". Oh man, the brain rot's gotten to him.
The brain rot's gotten to him.
Oh man, but yeah, that's my update. That's everything that's going on with me. I just can't wait to go home and eat dinner.
Yeah, yeah. It's coming. We'll be done in about 45 minutes. No worries.
Hey man, I went this long. What's another 45?
Whatever, right? And then do you have to cook or is it already prepared?
I think Elise is gonna cook it for me.
That, dude, that's perfect.
It's so
That's
perfect.
perfect.
It's
That's
a
what's up.
shout out to Elise. Thank you so much.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah,
The support
man.
really helps.
It's not a solo sport.
Yep. Right.
Definitely not.
Some people think it is, but bodybuilding really isn't a solo sport. It doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
And hell, man, if I can go home and meals cooked for me, man, it's just saved me so much time and energy.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Elise.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I think it's about time
Let's do it.
to get into the discussion
Let's dive
about
right
fat
into it.
loss. And the first topic that we are going to discuss has to do with something that we pretty commonly hear,
Yeah.
um, probably from clients or just people that we know through
Yeah.
having conversations with people, friends, family members, or just random people at work, coworkers. It's when people say, I don't eat that much, but I still can't lose weight.
So
What's the
common.
deal with that? I'm sure you've heard
Um,
many people say that to you before.
I hear a lot of people say that to me, and I hear a lot of people at work say it to me too, and they're like, "Oh, could you put me on like a meal plan? Like I got vacation in like 3 weeks. So I'm trying to lose this." And I tell them like, "Yeah, like we can make some adjustments, but you're not gonna realistically, because that's what I like to do, set realistic
Hmm.
goals. You're not gonna lose a substantial amount of body fat, and you're probably not gonna look the way you want to look. However, we will remove a good amount of bloating,
Hmm.
and we'll get you in the right direction. But 3 weeks, probably not gonna happen. But when I hear this, I really think about like, are you truly not eating that much? Because like we talked about before, like playing the guessing game,
Hmm.
like if you're not tracking your food, if you're not logging and weighing out your portions, then you really can't tell if you're not eating that much, because um, there's like a ton of blind spots when
Hmm.
it comes to just snacking throughout the day that
Hmm.
people don't realize. Like a lot of people don't weigh out their coffee creamer, and that those calories add up. A lot of
Hmm.
people don't weigh out their granola, which we're gonna get into that
Yeah.
topic of
Yeah.
granola in a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, th- Things like that. Nuts, peanuts. Like you just grab a handful of peanuts. Those like little like just a bites type of snacks.
Hmm.
I'll just have a bite of this. Like those calories throughout the day add up very, very
Oh
quickly.
yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Snacking and grazing just it definitely adds up really fast. The other thing is I think a lot of people just aren't that aware of how calorically dense some foods are.
yeah,
So it actually may be the case for some people that they really aren't eating all that much food, but it's just that the decisions that they're making are incredibly calorically dense.
absolutely.
So just to go through an example day for somebody, and not saying everybody does this exact day, but just to give you an example, somebody may wake up in the morning getting ready for work, and maybe they don't eat much, but they stop at Dunkin' Donuts
Hmm.
and they get an iced coffee. And, they're not just getting a plain iced coffee, they're getting an iced coffee with a bunch of, caramel or whatever other flavors in there, whatever type of milk, whatever types of sugars added. And a lot of those drinks at Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks can easily be 300 to 500 calories,
Oh yeah.
right? And then maybe you get a little donut on the side or a little muffin, and those can easily be 400 calories.
Oh yeah.
And just like that, it seems like you didn't have much for breakfast because you just had basically a snack and a coffee,
Yeah.
and you just knocked back 800 calories, right? And that's not really going to do much for you in terms of helping you feel satiated and helping you feel full.
Absolutely.
Then maybe when you're at work, you maybe you skip lunch because you're busy, or you just have a small snack with you, like a Greek yogurt or a granola bar. Okay, pretty low in calories, but already you're over 1,000 calories deep into the day. And then when you get home at the end of the night, you you feel like you haven't had that much to eat, which is true, but you're 1,000 plus calories in on the day because of your decisions. So then you have this moderate sized meal that may be, 1,000 plus calories. Maybe it has a lot of butters in it. Maybe it has a lot of oils in it, or a variety of other ingredients. And, you could be at close to 2,500 calories by the end of the day and just not feel like you had all that much to eat. And 2,500 calories for some people, that may be a surplus.
Oh yeah.
It could be maintenance. It just kind of depends on your size and your activity level.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people who maybe really don't eat that much throughout the day, but they just aren't aware that their decisions are super calorically dense.
Absolutely. Like we mentioned before, just snacking throughout the day and incorporate and also your meals, like those calories add up insanely fast. And I know like a lot of like chain franchises like have estimated calories, but no one behind the counter is sitting there with a scale
Yeah.
and like weighing out the exact measurements of those estimated calories. You got people, hundreds and hundreds of people walking in and out of there,
Mm-hmm.
especially in like Dunkin' Donuts in the morning. Like they're super busy in the morning. They're not going to sit there and weigh out and measure everything to an exact T so you can get to those estimated calories. So they may be a little heavy-handed. So you may be thinking like, oh, that coffee, it says on the board 150 calories, but you're most likely eating doubled, maybe even tripled the
Mm-hmm.
amount of calories because of how heavy-handed they're going to be. So
Right.
you can't really estimate that's the amount of calories you're eating based off of what's on the sign. Um, and I also feel like another big problem people have with this specific statement outside of calorically dense foods is eating moderately well throughout the week and then just crashing hard on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Or not really eating, truly not eating that much throughout the day, like maybe just having a protein bar or a protein shake. And then they really don't go they go the rest of the day really not eating, and then at night when the late night cravings kick in, you just kind of go ham. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna eat like a bag of chips. I'm
Yep.
gonna crush back a root beer or
Mm-hmm.
something like that, and those calories are gonna add up significantly fast. Especially
Yeah.
it's late night. You didn't really eat throughout the day. Like everyone gets late night cravings, so that's only gonna be amplified even more when you don't eat throughout the entire day. So
Yeah.
you're gonna eat a ton of food, and I see it all the time. I was looking, like we'll get into that topic of the protein granola. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
makes you think like you're eating healthy, but realistically, realistically you're not.
They're getting
So
you with the marketing.
they're getting you with the marketing,
Yeah.
man, charging extra money because
Yeah.
the label says it's protein,
Yeah.
but that's not really the case. And like it's a shame how people get fooled like that.
Yeah.
It truly is. But people also really need to understand that calories and volume aren't the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
They're just not the same thing. Like we talked about it all the time. Like you take a bag of candy versus a bag of Skittles, 270 calories. I know this
Hmm.
because I
Yeah.
love Skittles.
Yeah.
I love them.
Hmm.
270 calories for one bag versus 270 calories of ground beef,
Yeah.
the leanest ground beef you can
Yeah.
get, 96. Like
96.
that's a huge plate.
Hmm.
And then you got a small bag of candy.
Right.
Obviously you're going to feel a little bit more fuller eating that 270 calories of ground beef
Yeah.
versus that bag of Skittles.
Right.
So calories and volume just aren't the same thing.
Right.
So
Right. And when I was in my bodybuilding prep, not saying that other people need to mimic a bodybuilding prep, but I was eating 1,800 calories, and I was eating a pretty decent amount of food in terms of the volume. So with that 1,800 calories, I mean, if you're smart with your choices, you can have, say, 4 or 5 pretty good sized meals.
oh yeah.
But if I wanted to be a bit idiotic about it and not eat that much food, I can also just eat, not that much food with that 1,800 calories.
Yeah.
If I'm heavy-handed with the oil, if I'm including calorically dense foods that say have a lot of butter in them, or drinking tons of liquid calories and snacking on small things throughout the day,
Yeah.
it's easy to fill your calories up with calorically dense foods when you're not paying attention and you're not aware. The other thing that comes to mind, you mentioned something about the weekends, right?
Yeah,
Is what do a lot of people do on the weekends?
drink.
A lot of people drink, and you don't have to give up drinking.
Yeah.
I'll never tell people that they need to give up drinking. I understand that people like it. You want to enjoy some drink sometimes, that's okay. Once in a while, I drink. It isn't a big part of my lifestyle, but once in a while, I'll do it. But people kind of forget that alcohol has calories in it
Oh,
too.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
alcohol has calories. So when you're knocking back that, 12 to 16 ounce beer, that right there is about 150 to 200 calories. And most people aren't drinking just one beer
Yeah,
or
too.
whatever the drink may be,
Yeah.
right? A lot of people are drinking three, four, five, six. I have some clients that drink more than that.
Oh man, I know a lot of people that drink a lot of
Yeah.
beer.
Yeah. So, that can easily add up. You know what I mean? If you're knocking back five or six drinks, you know what I mean? You might be knocking back 1,000 plus calories depending on the specific drinks that you choose. And it's going to feel like you didn't eat that much,
Oh
right?
yeah, and not to mention if you're tossing back that many beers, you're obviously going to be under the influence, and you're
hmm
going to get hungry,
Yeah.
which means you're going to eat a lot of food.
You're
Probably
you're
you're going to
going in
eat.
fuck it mode.
You're going to fuck it mode,
Yeah.
and you're going to probably toss back a cheesesteak,
hmm
maybe even an inside out,
Yeah.
maybe even some French fries.
hmm
Man, you just ate 2,000 calories right there, and you drank 1,000,
Shit, maybe more than 2,000, bro.
maybe even more than.
Yeah.
And to make that even worse is the day after the recovery.
hmm
You're probably not gonna want to eat scrambled eggs.
Probably not.
You're gonna want a breakfast sandwich.
hmm
You're gonna want bacon, eggs on a roll. You're probably gonna want an omelet. You're gonna want probably a cheesesteak again.
Yep.
So you're gonna continue, like, after a night out of drinking and eating, you're gonna continue that eating the day after to recover, because your body's just gonna be it's just gonna be siphoned from all the alcohol that you
hmm
drank.
Yep.
So those 2 days could add so much water retention and
hmm
so much glycogen, your stored carbs, that, like, when you go back on track, step on the scale Monday morning, probably not going to be happy with the number that you see,
hmm
because of the amount of retention that your body's holding
Yeah.
from the weekend that you just had.
hmm
And now you got to spend the next couple days going back to where you were the day before you started that binge.
Yeah.
So you kind of take a step forward, and then you take 2 steps back, and then you spend the next couple of days to get back to where you originally were. So it's going to be a constant up and down game.
hmm Yep.
So what I think is the best choice is to dig deep now and go through it, get your body in shape, so that way you can afford to have days like
Yeah.
that, to where
hmm
you're not going to be in a constant stalemate with yourself, because you ate, you drank, now I got to work back to where I was. Oh, it's the weekend again, I can eat and drink again, and then you're just going to be at a constant stalemate. I would say it's probably best to get yourself in shape, take the tips, get yourself in shape, work yourself out, do what you got to do, get
hmm
your body to where you truly want it to be, so that way you can afford to have days like that.
Yeah.
And it's not going to
Right.
be as punishing. And when you get back into the swing of things the following week, it's you don't have to work twice as hard to get back to where you originally were. I think the best case scenario is having a nice little weekend. I'll eat some chicken wings. Want to have
Yeah.
some French fries.
Yeah.
Love me some
Okay.
chicken wings and
Cool.
French fries. That's
Cool.
cool. And then the next day, you're back in the gym. You're lifting. You want to toss back a beer with your chicken wings? That's totally fine. Like, obviously, like, you want to keep your sanity levels in check. Like, I'm driving myself crazy. I want chicken wings.
Yeah.
I want to drink a beer. But, I got goals.
Yeah.
And it's going to feel way more rewarding and less punishing after my prep, and after my body looks the way that I want it to look. It's going to feel far less punishing to drink a beer and eat chicken wings.
Yeah.
Whereas someone who is currently in a phase of fat loss, it's like, oh wow, like I'm doing pretty good, I can eat me some chicken wings and drink some beer.
Yeah. They reward themselves too early.
You reward
Yeah.
yourself a little too early, which will
Yeah.
then kind of, again, bring you in that stalemate phase. So
Yeah. And you shouldn't really use food as a reward, you know what I mean? You
yeah.
got to people have to get out of that mindset that they need to reward themselves with food every time they do good for a few days or a couple of weeks. I also think people tend to do a bad job with balance. because in their head they think balance, ooh, 50-50.
Yeah.
But the reality is balance is like being 80 to 90% on and incorporating fun foods and stuff like that about 10 to 20% at a time.
Yeah.
That is really what balance is, and that's probably what would keep more people on track. I think a lot of people, this is very common. A lot of people are really bad at when it comes to doing well during the week, and then once it hits Thursday or Friday, like those 3-4 days are your your progress is basically gone. All the progress that you made Monday through Wednesday or Monday through Thursday with your fat loss goals, it's gone by the weekend. Because you may be in a deficit of, say, let's just say you're in a deficit of 300 calories per day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay, in total, you're in a deficit of 1,200 calories. I mean, you screw things up on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you can easily put yourself in a 1,200 or even way more of a surplus, and you just undid that Monday through Wednesday or Monday through Thursday deficit.
Oh yeah.
People do that every single week, and a lot of people do that every single week for their entire lives.
Absolutely.
So they think that they live this balanced lifestyle and they're doing really well because they do so great Monday through Thursday, but the craziness that they go through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday just undoes everything every single week.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like it almost sounds like we're saying you can't have fun when you're in that phase, and like that's just so not
That's not
true.
true. Yeah.
It's not true at all because you can still have fun and you can still do things. It's just as long as it's truly controlled, which is why we express the importance of tracking and logging. So you can
Be
truly
aware.
just be aware of
Hmm.
everything. Can you imagine driving on the road and not being aware of your surroundings? It's almost like the same thing.
Hmm.
So I think what we're talking about is great because it ties into our next subtopic, which is
Yeah.
fat loss versus weight loss.
Yep. Fat loss versus weight loss.
What's the difference?
It's very different, dude, because weight loss, I mean, if you're losing weight, that could come from muscle, that could come from body fat, that can come from water retention, that can come from glycogen loss. But what people really care about is fat loss,
Oh yeah,
right? You don't want to lose your muscle. If you lose a little bit of water weight or a little bit of muscle glycogen, okay, whatever, but that's not really going to make a significant change to your physique.
absolutely.
People want fat loss,
Hmm.
right?
Oh yeah. So like with that, you need to understand that fat loss is going to be slower. However, when that happens, that means the scale is going to stall a little
Hmm.
bit. It's going to be significantly slower. However, your physique, you may start noticing details. You're gonna be a little bit more defined, a little bit tighter, a little bit leaner.
Hmm.
So that's why, like we always say, that number every morning shouldn't matter because fat loss is on a weekly average,
Hmm.
not a daily
Right.
average. So, um, yeah, like you were saying, like when you're losing body weight, because you see it all the time, especially on social media with these influencers, man. Like how I lost 8 pounds in 10 days. It's like, well, yeah, you have less water retention.
Yeah.
The, you have
Well,
that's how
yeah.
you lost the eight
Wow.
pounds, but like it's not eight, and that's the thing and that's what gets people is they hear 8 pounds and they think fat,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
that's not the case. There's many things that make up your total body weight. It's not just fat. And when someone sees on it on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, like this is how I lost 10 pounds in 10 days. I lost a pound a day. This is what you need to do. You're not necessarily like, yes, they may incorporate good tips in terms of dieting, like, yeah, eat lean meats and veggies. Great, perfect. But it's very misleading to say like I can lose 10 pounds in 10 days doing this and look like this, because typically when you see that type of stuff, it's not a bigger person saying this is how I lost 10 pounds in 10 days. It's going to be a shredded person like this is how I lost 10 pounds in 10
They're
days.
already really, really lean. Yeah.
Lean
Hmm.
and in shape,
Yeah.
and that's how they try to get you to either buy their cookbook or their guide or to
Hmm.
lock in with them as a trainer, right? And realistically, you're just losing water retention and
Yeah.
how they're going to get you, because you can follow that plan and step on the scale and be like, hey, huh, I'm losing weight. you're right. You are losing weight, but you're not losing fat,
Right.
which is a huge, huge difference.
Yeah. I mean, anybody can just completely cut carbohydrates out of their diet for a few days, and within like 1 to 3 days, you're going to see a scale drop. That doesn't mean you're losing body fat. I mean, once you remove carbohydrates from your diet, well, what ends up happening is you end up burning through your glycogen stores because you're not bringing in carbohydrates, right? So your glycogen stores are lost, which also means you're going to lose a little bit of water weight as well. So you may see a few pound drop in the scale within a couple of days of the keto diet or whatever super low carb diet you follow, but that doesn't mean you're losing body fat. You're most likely just losing muscle glycogen and a bunch of water weight,
Just
and it's not gonna do for your physique what you want it to do, right? Like
yeah,
most people want their physique to change its shape, and losing a little bit of water weight isn't going to change your physique shape. You're going to see a lower number on the scale, but that doesn't mean that anything's really changing.
absolutely. Yeah, your body composition won't really change as much once you once you're like truly consistent with it and realize that like okay, fat loss is a slow process. The scale's going to move slowly. You'll notice your physique change and your body composition change over time. Like I said, you'll get a little bit leaner. You'll tone up way more. Your body overall body composition is going to change. But if you look at yourself at 10 days versus 2 months, like you're gonna see a huge difference. Like, oh wow, I lost 8 pounds in the 10 days that I was doing this, but I lost like 6 pounds of body fat in 2 months. The difference is insane.
Yeah,
You'll see that
it's going to look way different. Yeah.
you're gonna look way different.
Hmm.
And as bodybuilders, like we it's like a number. It's like a game to us at
Yeah,
this point.
we
Like
we
we
have this mastered. We do this to the extreme.
to the
Yeah.
absolute extreme.
Yeah.
And what I tell people a lot is because when they see me and like what I post and everything, they're like, dude, like how could I get like that? And like obviously I tell them like I'm in prep, like I'm in prep for a competition, whereas you're not.
Hmm.
So I'm going super aggressive. And like everything is calculated to the T,
Hmm.
and I don't go off that plan at all. My whole logic is I can't log it, I can't track it, I will not eat it. Like everything has to go according to plan. Whereas with someone that's just trying to lean out just a little bit just to change their overall body composition, you could do a quarter of what we do in terms of aggression and still make astronomical results.
Yeah, sure, sure. If you're consistent and you give it some time, absolutely.
Yeah,
Without a doubt. I agree.
absolutely. So if going into our next subtopic, what are some tips and tricks that you do? Because obviously now that we're talking about losing body fat and what it takes to lose body fat and not weight, if you're in a deficit, what are some tricks and tips and tricks that you would do to maintain your hunger?
Yeah, so I have my own personal little tips and tricks, that I do when I'm in a deficit to help me feel a little bit fuller. So, one of the things that I do is I incorporate hot sauce a lot more often
Oh yeah.
when I'm trying to cut body fat and when I'm eating in a deficit. Now, I like hot sauce in general, but I tend to have it more while I'm in a deficit. Now, why is that? Well, it's going to do a couple of things. Number one, it's going to slow down my eating a little bit, right? When you're eating spicy food, you're not just going
Yeah.
to it's it paces me a little bit more, right? So it helps it helps me make it feel like I'm eating for a little bit of a longer period of time rather than scarfing down my meal in like 5 to 7 minutes. It might take me like 10 to 15 minutes. And I'm sure people have probably heard this before, but there's a little bit of a delay when it comes to your brain letting you know that you're full,
Yeah.
right? So if you're eating food pretty fast, right? I'm sure people have experienced this before. You've experienced this where all of a sudden you just hit a wall, right? And
K-pot.
and that's because there's about like I think a 5 to 7 minute delay in your brain letting you know that you're full. So with me using the hot sauce, it just naturally slows my eating down a little bit, so that by the time I get to the end of my meal, maybe I'm 15 minutes in, I'm actually starting to feel a little bit fuller, right? And the other thing is, well, when you eat spicy food, there's a good chance that you may be drinking more water along with your meal. So, if I'm not eating hot sauce, or if I'm not putting hot sauce on my food, I may only drink about 4 to 6 ounces of water with my meal, which is fine. But with hot sauce on my meal, and with my meal being pretty spicy, I may end up drinking like 16 to 20 ounces of water along with my meal. So just by incorporating hot sauce into my meals, it really helps me feel fuller.
Absolutely. Um, excuse me. One tip that I always recommend people when they're in any sort of fat loss phase in a deficit: gum.
Yeah.
Gum is the best if you have the calories for it and you're not like super over your carbs. Because I think like sugar-free gum is like 1 gram, at most 2 grams of carbs. But yeah, for only like 4 calories, a stick of like sugar-free Trident, you can get you can get 2 sticks of that versus like Big Red, Winter
Hmm.
Fresh, Juicy Fruit, because those are 10 calories a stick.
Yeah.
So if you really wanted to, you can get two for the price of one, or maybe even three for the price of one for just 2 extra calories.
Right. Right.
Right? So, you can chew on gum, and just from the chewing, keeping your mouth busy, and the swallowing of the flavor
Pause.
can kind of help. Can't do me like that, man. But the digestion
Yeah.
of the flavoring of
Yeah.
the gum. The digestion of the gum from chewing it could definitely help you feel a little bit fuller
Hmm.
after you eat breakfast or in between each meal. It'll help you maintain your hunger until you can get to your next meal.
Yeah.
Want to know another weird trick that I discovered this prep?
What is that?
So, all right, so I love like minty gum.
Hmm.
I love any type of gum, but I like minty gum. Whenever I get hungry, I would brush my teeth.
Oh yeah.
I would
Okay.
brush my teeth, and the mint from the toothpaste would, for some reason, would just make me not feel hungry
Hmm.
anymore. But then the only downside of that is like after like an hour or two, my stomach sounds like Chewbacca, man. Like
The
I'm
hunger comes
hungry.
back.
But
Yeah.
by the time that happens, it's time for me to eat
Right.
again.
Yeah. Hmm.
So yeah, brushing my teeth, when I discovered that, I was like, dude, what?
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Those are that's an extreme bodybuilding
Yeah,
prep
that's pretty
type tip.
extreme, dude.
Yeah, you may not have to do that if you're just into general fitness, but if you're interested in bodybuilding and you need some tips and tricks, that could actually help out a little bit. And most people probably don't have to worry about the calories in gum. Um, but but chewing it can definitely help kind of like maybe take your mind off of food a little bit.
Oh yeah.
I would say you really only have to worry about the calories in gum if you're in a bodybuilding prep where every single calorie counts. Or maybe you're not in a bodybuilding prep and you're trying to cut, but you're just one of those people who will chew like an entire pack of gum a day. Okay, in that case, you need to track that shit because
Yeah.
that might be like 100 to 150 calories
That'll add up, man.
depending on the type of gum that you're choosing.
That will add up. Like if you're just going for juicy fruit, 10 calories a stick, it's got like what? 5, 6, I think, in each slot. That's 18 sticks of gum right there.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, dude, that's a lot of like, and that's the things that people don't realize. They see they see one stick is 10 calories. Oh man, I can eat so much of this.
Hmm.
And then you do, and you're like well over 100 calories in on
Yeah.
gum.
Just from gum.
Just
Yeah.
from gum.
Yeah.
And like again, if you're in a deficit, like that 100 calories, 150 calories, like that means a lot.
Yeah.
That's
For
it's
sure.
game changing.
Yeah.
It's game
I
changing.
mean, if you're somebody who's in a deficit and you're eating 1,500 calories a day, that's 10% of your calories coming from gum,
Yeah.
right? So, if you're going to go with gum, just choose the sugar-free version. That's only, a couple calories per stick and just have a few sticks per day.
Yeah. Tic Tacs are a good one too.
Hmm.
I mean, it's something I did early on, but then I stopped. It's like 2 calories per Tic Tac, I think,
Yeah.
and it's like half a gram
Hmm.
of carbs. But like that's something I did a lot last season, and I did it very early on this season, and then I was just like, nah, because like knowing me, like I'll eat the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I will eat the whole
Tic
thing.
Tacs are good, man.
The orange ones are the best
Yeah,
ones, the
yeah.
best
They
ones.
were my favorite when I was a kid.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I can toss back a million of them.
Yeah. Before we go on to the next topic, I have another practical tip.
Ooh.
So, another thing that I do when I'm in a deficit, I actually do this when I'm in a surplus too, but it helps when I'm in a deficit. To slow down my eating is so I make Greek yogurt bowls
Mm-hmm.
and I put fruit in them. Well, rather than putting fresh fruit in them, I put frozen fruit in them. I
Ooh.
buy at Aldi or Acme, wherever, but usually I do a lot of my shopping at Aldi. I'll buy the big bag of frozen mixed berries. There'll be like blueberries, raspberries, cherries, strawberries, and all that in a bag. And I pour the frozen fruit in my Greek yogurt bowl, and that automatically slows down my eating by a few minutes because you're not just knocking back frozen fruit that quick. It's going to take a
Yeah.
little bit of extra time to chew. So just by doing that slows down my eating probably by about 5 to 10 minutes or 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's a very solid practical tip that I think people can utilize at home. If you're a frozen fruit lover,
I'm gonna try that.
use that frozen fruit in your Greek yogurt
Man,
bowls.
I
It'll
I didn't think
make
about that.
it'll uh it'll add some extra time to your eating.
Oh man,
So,
that would be nice.
hmm
That would be nice. Do you want to go into our next? That's all the tips I really got.
yeah.
Really,
Yeah, yeah.
it's all the
I
same.
think so the next thing that we wanted to talk about was protein intake and muscle retention. Your protein intake. It's always important.
Always.
Um, but when you are in a fat loss phase, when you're eating in a calorie deficit, you want to ensure that your protein is at a pretty sufficient amount because while you're dropping body fat, you don't want to be also dropping your muscle mass, right?
Absolutely.
You want it to be purely body fat.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that you can do to ensure that you aren't losing muscle while you are in a fat loss phase is keep your protein, it doesn't have to be super high,
Yeah.
but at least moderately high, along with strength training.
Absolutely. Because people don't realize that when you aren't prioritizing protein, f especially in a fat loss phase, fat won't be the only thing you lose.
Hmm.
You'll also tap into your muscle, and obviously, when you start to have less muscle, you will lower your metabolic rate.
Hmm.
So that's also like that's why eating protein in a fat loss phase is super important so you can benefit from its thermic effect because you have mentioned this before in one of our previous episodes. Take one person that is, let's say me and you, let's say we're relatively the same, we lift the same weight, we eat the same food, we're eating the same amount of calories a day. However, the only difference is that you prioritize protein, I don't. Your body composition and your muscle retention is going to be significantly better than mine because I didn't really eat protein. Because my body's going to look for other sources of energy,
Hmm.
and it's going to take away, because obviously in a fat loss phase you want to tell your body to use my body fat for energy,
Hmm.
tap into my fat
Hmm.
for energy, and so I could lose that. But if I'm not prioritizing protein, it's going to tap into my muscle now,
Yeah.
so my body composition is going to be nowhere near
Hmm.
your body composition.
Yeah. And that is 100% confirmed in the research. That's
Yeah.
not just us guessing about it. That is 100% confirmed by the research. Very well known. So, in a fat loss phase, keep your protein intake pretty high. That's all. It's not that hard.
Speaking of protein, I wanted to mention this because I showed you this the other day. A lot of things in the grocery store that you see are typically like everything's protein now. Everything's got protein in it. Like it's only a matter of time before they have canned protein air. You're 20 grams deep, right?
Just like that.
Just like
I
that.
would buy that.
I would so buy that.
Yeah.
But when I was at work the other day, I saw in our staff lounge that there was a bag of Nature Valley protein oats and honey granola, and on the bag it's written in bold, protein, 13 grams per 2/3 cup serving. So if you look at that, I mean, anyone's gonna see that and be like, "Whoa, what? Protein granola? That's right up my alley,
Yeah.
dude." And you're gonna eat that. And the thing with granola, especially granola like this, like it's very easy to just take handfuls at a
Hmm.
time, right? Like you take a handful here, take a handful there. But then when you turn that labeling, when you turn this around to the back and you look at the nutrition facts, for that 13 grams of protein per 2/3 cup of a serving, it's 270 calories. So already the calorie to protein ratio is off.
Yeah. Not good.
But also, you're consuming 41 grams of carbs
Hmm.
and 7 grams of fat. I mean, the fat isn't too bad,
Yeah.
but the carbs, you're eating 41 grams of carbs for 270 calories for 2/3 of a cup.
Yeah.
2/3 of a cup. And the crazy part about this is that something like this company, like Nature Valley or any other brand or company, will charge you extra
Yeah.
because it's got protein written in
Hmm.
bold. This is the type of food that I would highly avoid, which is why it's very important to turn the product around and read the label, read the nutrition facts. Is the protein to calorie ratio uh, good?
Yeah.
Are you getting more protein for less calories?
Yeah.
Are you not eating an absurd amount of fats or carbs for very little amount of food and very little for a high amount of carbs?
Yeah.
This is the type of food I would 100% avoid. I would not eat this stuff.
Yeah. So, and the ratio that I like to go by for determining if a food is a sufficient amount of protein, and I mentioned this before, for every 100 calories, you should try to aim for at least 7 grams of protein.
Hmm.
So, with that being about 300 calories, I wouldn't consider it high protein or at least moderately high in protein unless it had about 21 grams of protein.
Hmm.
And that doesn't meet that at all, right?
Absolutely.
It has 13 grams of protein for
13
just under
grams.
300 calories.
Just under.
So it doesn't even pass the bare minimum
Yeah,
in terms of what I would consider to be a a sufficient amount of protein for somebody who's trying to eat a moderate to high protein diet. It would
absolutely.
just it would kind of screw up your ratio a little bit in terms of your total day,
Yeah,
right? Because if you have a calorie budget and you have a protein amount that you want to hit, you want to make sure that you're not screwing yourself over in the long term if you're having that, earlier in the middle of the day. I mean, sure, you can fit it in. It's definitely possible to fit it in, but you need to make sure that you're going to be on point, the second half of the day or the other parts of the day. You don't want that ratio to screw up your numbers by the time
absolutely.
you finish the night.
And that's another reason why tracking is important because
Hmm.
like I said, you could like with granola, like I know I could if I wanted to just take handfuls here and there and I have no idea how much I'm eating. And those calories will add up quickly, especially 40, what was it? 41 grams of carbs for 270 calories.
Hmm.
Man, that is absurd.
I like how it says protein on the front. It should just say
It says
carbohydrates.
a just say carbohydrates. I love how it's just written in bold. Protein,
Yeah.
13 grams, man. But
Hmm.
like, you're also tossing back 41 grams of carbs too in the process. Probably more because, like I said,
Yeah.
you're probably taking handfuls here and there. So not only are you're not just eating 270 calories. You're probably eating close to 600.
Most likely because people are bad at tracking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like you're
people are bad at
probably close to
tracking.
eating 600 calories worth, and that's what like 120 grams of carbs right there,
Hmm.
120,
Something like that, somewhere around there.
somewhere around
Yeah.
there, 120, 160.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And it's not that carbohydrates are bad. They absolutely aren't.
Oh, you need them.
You should have carbohydrates in your diet. It's just that marketing tends to get people and they're thinking in their heads, "Oh my God, that's high protein." And the
Yeah,
reality is it's not high protein, it's high carbohydrate. High
absolutely.
carbohydrate isn't bad, but in that context, you just need to be aware of what's really going on and you need to be aware of the labeling.
Absolutely. And like I mentioned this before in our previous episode, like there isn't a specific food I would avoid. that's not what I'm asking myself. What I would ask myself is, where's the protein in this?
Hmm.
And that's when you look at a product like that and you turn it around and you read it like, okay, 270 calories. Like, where's the protein in this? The 13, it says 13 grams, but the carbs, the calorie ratio is just way off.
Hmm.
So like that's what I would avoid. If I'm gonna say like what food am I gonna avoid, it's things like that. That something that's very calorically dense like that, and you're getting little protein out of
Hmm.
something like that, especially when they have it written in bold, protein.
Yeah.
Like what I ask myself is, where's the protein in this?
Yeah.
Not like, oh, should I avoid this? Well, yeah, I'm avoiding that, but there isn't like specific foods that I would avoid. But something like that, 100% will not eat in a fat loss phase.
The funny thing is, I think it doesn't even have that much more protein than regular granola. I don't know the exact amount off the top of my head. It's
Neither do
probably
I.
like 6 to 8 grams. So like 13 compared to 6 to 8. I mean, like, yeah, sure, that is more, but it just, it doesn't make it a high protein food.
Dude, I can eat 2 cups of Greek yogurt for 180 calories for 30 grams of protein, literally doubling, more than double the
Hmm.
amount of protein in that granola for almost half the calories as
Yeah,
well.
way less,
Almost.
and you'll
Way
you'll
less.
you'll have all those extra
Like a third.
calories to play around with a bunch of other foods.
Exactly. So sometimes when you're going grocery shopping, don't just look at the expiration date. There's more to the product than its expiration date.
Hmm. Yep, got to look at more than that.
Got to look at more than that.
Yeah, just got to take some time and just put the effort in getting a little bit better at reading labels. It's not that hard.
Not
Initially, some of these things can seem overwhelming, but if you put in a little bit of effort and you're consistent with it, you'll increase your awareness and you'll just get better at it over time.
absolutely.
I wasn't perfect with it when I first started. I've been into fitness for a really long time. I'm 31. I started working out consistently when I was 17. So I've been doing this for 14 years.
Yeah.
Right now for me, it seems like it's effortless.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I wasn't that great at it, but I was intentional with it, with trying to get better, and I put a lot of effort into it early on. I wouldn't
Yeah.
even say a lot of effort, but it was consistent effort.
Yep.
And now, because I put in that effort early on and because I'm consistent, now it's basically effortless. It takes no effort for
Second
me
nature.
to just do this. Yep, it's basically second nature.
Yeah.
It's just like waking up and brushing your teeth,
Yeah.
just like waking up and putting some socks on.
Oh yeah. Can't
Where
forget the socks.
well, you might have your socks on already when you're sleeping, but you get the point.
I don't. I don't know. I sometimes sleep with them. Sometimes I don't.
Yeah,
Feel like it just depends.
yeah,
But I feel like once you understand it, you'll never not understand it. Like you'll get it. And again, like it's just something that just a quick flip. Oh, 100 calories, 10 grams of protein. That's not bad. And then that's it.
yep.
What people would initially think would take hours takes merely seconds.
That only took like 2 seconds for me to turn that imaginary box around.
I don't know, dude. 2 hours, you're just like this.
Yeah. Um, I think we covered that topic pretty well.
Pretty well.
I think we can move on to the last topic,
Let's do
the
it.
final topic of this
final topic.
episode. The final topic has to do with plateaus.
Plateaus. Oh no.
I guess this is something that everybody experiences, or most people experience, at least for a short period of time. What do you think about plateaus, man? What's the first thing that pops up in your head when I talk about plateaus?
I think plateaus are normal.
Yeah,
They're
with fat loss, plateaus with fat
because
loss.
you also got to realize that you're eating less food.
Hmm.
So you're going to have a little bit less energy, which is again like not only tracking your food is important, but tracking your lifting numbers is also important because then you can notice a trend like that. Like, hey, like I got to pull back on some weight. I didn't get the same amount of volume I did last week. Maybe I got to pull back on the load a little bit. Plateaus are normal, and keeping track of your numbers is going to you'll notice that trend, but also you'll be able to notice if it's continuing to
Hmm.
trend, which then you would probably need to make a slight adjustments, such as pulling back on the load so you can recalibrate. I've done this a few times, especially during this prep. I'm not lifting the same weight I was lifting peak bulk
Hmm.
because I just simply don't have the amount of energy I did when I was eating K-pop.
Yeah,
When I was eating K-pop, I was a happy camper.
you mentioned K-pot a few times in this episode.
definitely going to be that's
Wondering what's on your mind.
just some sticky white rice and hot pot and beef
Yeah,
bulgogi and some ribeye. I'm
yeah,
I'm hungry,
yeah,
man. But yeah, plateaus are totally normal
yeah,
just as long as you notice the trend and it's not continuing to trend.
yeah,
And if it you do notice the trend is continuing, I would pull back on the load just a tad and recalibrate and work your way back up
yeah.
to what you originally were at.
Right. And you're talking about experiencing plateaus in your lifts while you're in a fat loss phase, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that
Yep.
makes a lot of sense. Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, because again, like I tell most of my clients, because when my clients come in and they either A, reach the same numbers that they did the following week, or B, they go down a rep or two, they're like, oh, like what happened? I'm like, well, since you're not in, some of my clients aren't in a fat loss phase, they're in a strength training phase. Like
Yeah.
they want to get stronger, they want to get bigger. I tell them there's many things that factor into that.
Mm-hmm.
So last week, you probably had a little less stress.
Mm-hmm.
So work was probably a little easier that day compared to this day, this week. You probably had a little bit more energy.
Mm-hmm.
So what you ate, obviously, you're probably not going to eat the same thing you ate last Wednesday compared to this
Right.
Wednesday. So your energy levels may be a little bit higher. You probably had a little bit more coffee, probably had an energy drink before you came in, probably ate a good amount of carbs before you came to lift. You carved up a little bit. Your sleep schedule, you probably got a little bit good, like they're a little bit good. You probably got better sleep
Yeah.
compared to last week. You probably woke up and had to go to the bathroom and you couldn't get back to sleep, or you just woke up earlier. But this week, you probably slept in a little bit
Mm-hmm.
better and you just woke up and you just felt a little bit more energized. There's many things that will contribute to uh, plateauing
Yeah.
or just going down a couple reps. So,
Yeah.
but when you're in a fat loss phase, reason why you're plateauing is because you're eating less food. Your
Mm-hmm.
energy levels are like you're finding everything inside of you to get to the energy you had last week and to try to match everything.
Yeah.
So
It
but
takes a little more effort.
it just takes a
Yeah.
little bit
Mm-hmm.
more effort compared to someone who's not in a fat loss phase where there's many things that will contribute to that. So
Yeah. And I would say there are a lot of times where people think that they're plateaued and the reality is they aren't because they just aren't given it enough time. Like just like how you said, like an example could be you got a little bit less sleep. So if you come into the gym and you have a 1 or 2 rep drop off in your numbers for a session, well, is that really a plateau or did you just have a little bit of a drop off because you just got an hour less of sleep? I really wouldn't even consider that a plateau.
yeah,
You come back next week and do that workout again with a sufficient amount of sleep, I'm sure that you'll get your top numbers again or maybe even beat it by a rep.
for sure.
Another thing that comes to my mind about that, and I'm going to talk specifically about fat loss, like not training while trying to lose fat, but the actual process of fat loss. And I'm going to use one of my clients as an example. I'm not going to say his name, but if he's listening to this, he's going to be like, "Oh, that's me."
He
Yeah.
narrowed. You really narrowed it down by saying he.
Okay. Or she.
Oh, or she.
Yeah. So, all right. So, okay, so he started this fat loss phase, right?
Mhm.
And what I tell my clients who are in fat loss phases is that in terms of using the scale, you want to weigh yourself multiple times per week. You don't want to go based off of just one weigh in per week or one weigh in here and there
Yeah.
because you may weigh yourself Monday and you may be, I don't know, 175 pounds. You might weigh yourself Tuesday, you might be 175.2. You might weigh yourself Wednesday, you might be 174.3. Your weight is going to be up and down. So I tell people to go based off of weekly averages. So weigh yourself multiple times per week and then get an average. We will then compare the average of week 1 versus week 2 versus week 3 versus week 4. So this particular client who may be listening to this podcast episode was doing an incredible job. He's still doing an incredible job. From about October to December, over that 7 or 8-ish week period, his average body weight was going down about half a pound per week. So when your average body weight is going down, that tells me that you're losing body fat, right? Because if your weight goes down by a half a pound in an individual day, that could be for a million different reasons. It could be because you drank slightly different amounts of water, had slightly different amounts of sodium, you know, you had slightly different amounts of carbohydrates, so you have slightly different amounts of glycogen storage. There could be a million reasons why your weight fluctuates on a day-to-day basis. But
Yeah.
if your average body weight is going down a half a pound per week, then I know that you're losing body fat. So this was the case for him for that 7 or 8 week period, doing really well. And then came the holiday season, right?
Mm.
Um, Not even so much Thanksgiving, more so Christmas. So there was about a 3 or 4 week period where he fell off track a little bit, or a lot of bit.
Being nice.
Obviously, Christmas Eve, Christmas, you're eating with your family. He also had a few days where he was sick, so that threw things off. I remember him shooting me a text one day, and he said, I've been eating like shit the last few days.
Yeah.
And then one day around like early to mid January, he came in and he was a little bit upset because for about a 3 week period, his average body weight wasn't changing, right? Or maybe if it was changing by like point 0.1. It was like ever so slightly up or
Yeah.
down, but it was basically the same for that 3 week period. And he was saying he wants to try all this stuff and he was going to do this and that. And I let him talk about it and I let him get it out. And then later that day, I took a look at his information. I used the Trainer Eyes app
Yeah.
to keep track and manage people's nutrition and training. I took a look at the previous 3 week period, and you know, the reality was he just wasn't being consistent, right?
Mm.
He wasn't tracking things. He was eating stuff on Christmas and Christmas Eve, which is totally fine. Enjoy your family dinners.
Yeah.
That's totally fine. But he got sick. He would track like maybe his breakfast and wasn't tracking lunch and dinner. He had days where he was ordering out and eating like shit. Obviously, that wasn't being tracked.
Yep.
And I told him, it's as clear as day. The reason why your body weight isn't changing, or the reason why your average body weight isn't changing, is because you just haven't been consistent.
Yep.
Is that really a plateau, or is that you not being consistent? Those are two different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But guess what? I told him to just brush it off. It happened. Let's get right back on track. So
Yep.
we got right back on track with ensuring that he was tracking. He's been getting all his lifts in, and I also give him a cardio goal. So he's been nailing that. Guess what? Over the last 3 weeks, his average body weight is down about 2.5 to 3 pounds.
Just like that.
So was that period of his average body weight not changing a plateau?
It's just him just not being consistent.
Inconsistency, right?
And that's
Yeah.
why it's important to track things like that so you can notice a trend like that. And then obviously if that trend is continuing, um, then you make the adjustments that you need to make. But when you look back at the data and see how inconsistent it was before you make those changes, you want to fix the consistency first and see if that changes anything.
Right.
Then obviously if it doesn't, then you make those necessary changes. And like what I tell my clients is what you're looking for is just a straight line down. But when you zoom in on that straight line, it's not as straight as you think. It's a bunch of zigzags. But when you zoom out on it at a longer period of time, and you zoom out on that timeline, yeah, then it'll look like a straight line. But when you zoom closer and closer into that timeline, it's just going to be a bunch of zigzags,
Tons
and
of
with
ups and downs.
tons of ups and downs. Which
Mhm.
is why, like when it comes to plateauing, I wouldn't make any changes unless the trend is continuing. Make it. I would clean some things up with my clients. I would clean some things up before we make any major adjustments. Make sure that the consistency is there, which is again important to keep track of trends like that. So
Mhm.
then you can, again, keep up with the consistency and then eventually make those adjustments that you need to make. But yeah, I think your client's gonna love that one.
I hope he listens to this.
They'd be
I'm
like,
sure he will.
man, dude, he's right about that.
Yeah.
We gotta be
Yeah.
more consistent,
He knows I'm right because now things are trending back in the right direction.
right? See,
Just gotta
consistency
listen
is
to
key.
me.
Consistency is key.
Yeah.
People don't realize that. Like, it's not. I know it's a very outdated like saying to say,
Yeah.
but
It's the truth.
it's the truth.
Yeah.
You know, if it wasn't true, people wouldn't say it all the time,
Hmm.
right? So consistency is key.
And patience.
Patience.
Consistency and patience.
They are intertwined.
Yep.
So I think that's the perfect way to end the episode.
I think so. Yeah.
Consistency and patience.
Be consistent and be patient. Results will happen.
Get a food scale too.
And get a food scale. I think we're coming up on an hour. I think we're a little bit past an hour now.
Definitely.
We're definitely close to it. So I think this is a good time to end this episode. So, any closing remarks or?
I just want to give a special shout out to our cameraman, Mark Tarantino. He is the man. This wouldn't be possible without him. I really appreciate you sticking by, listening to us ramble for a whole hour, dude. You are the man.
Getting good information, man. This is good. I'm learning.
Right?
All right, everybody. We will see you in March for episode number 4 of the
Episode
Charles and Nick
4.
Roundtable.
See you guys later.
Adios.